Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the bridge of the TES Hyperion, her weathered hands gripping the command rail as she studied the distress signal pulsing on the main display. After 20 years commanding Earth's most advanced deep space vessel, she thought she'd seen everything. She was wrong. "Signal analysis complete, Admiral," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his dark eyes fixed on his console. "It's definitely not human in origin, but the encryption pattern suggests a level of technological advancement similar to ours. They're using quantum entanglement communications. Whoever they are, they're sophisticated." The bridge fell silent as the message began to play. The translation matrix struggled for a moment before converting the alien language into something comprehensible. "To any spacefaring civilization capable of receiving this message, we are the Lissari. Our homeworld is under attack by forces unknown to us. Our defenses are failing. We have no military capability to speak of. Please, we are a peaceful species. We need help." Chen's jaw tightened. The Lissari. Humanity had never encountered them before, but the genuine fear in the message was universal enough. "How far?" she asked. 36 light hours at maximum drive, Admiral," Navigation Officer Park responded. "We're the closest human vessel to their coordinates." Chen nodded slowly. The Hyperion wasn't just any ship. It was the flagship of humanity's rapid response fleet, created after Earth's own brutal first contact war 50 years ago. They'd learned the hard way that the galaxy wasn't always friendly. Now they had a chance to prevent another species from learning that same lesson. "Sound battle stations," Chen ordered, "and get me a channel to Fleet Command. They need to know we're about to make first contact." As klaxons blared throughout the massive ship, Chen thought about the implications. Humanity had been spacefaring for less than a century, and they'd already earned a reputation as the upstarts of the galaxy. Too aggressive for some, too unpredictable for others. But they'd also become known for something else. They never ignored a cry for help. The Hyperion's quantum communications array connected with Earth in seconds. Fleet Admiral Zhao's hologram appeared on the bridge, his expression grave. "Chen, I've reviewed the signal. This is outside our jurisdiction. The Lissari system isn't part of any known alliance or treaty network." "With respect, sir," Chen replied. "That's exactly why we need to respond. We can't let another peaceful species face extinction, not when we can do something about it." Zhao was silent for a long moment. "The diplomatic corps will have my head for this, but authorized. You have temporary command of any RRF assets in your sector. Just remember, this isn't our war. Assess the situation, protect the civilians if you can, but don't get dragged into a prolonged conflict." "Understood, sir." Hyperion out. Chen turned to her crew. "Plot a course to the Lissari system, maximum safe speed, and begin charging the primary weapons array. I want to be ready for anything." As the Hyperion's massive engines powered up, more ships began appearing on their sensors. Other RRF vessels responding to Chen's emergency broadcast. Within hours, they had a fleet of 5 heavy warships, all racing toward the unknown. Lieutenant Rodriguez spoke up again, his voice tense. "Admiral, we're picking up more transmissions from the Lissari system. Multiple ships have entered their space. Energy signatures suggest heavy weapons fire." Chen watched as tactical displays showed the unfolding invasion. The attackers' ships were massive, Eclipse-class vessels that dwarfed anything in the human fleet. But size wasn't everything. Humanity had learned it the hard way. "Send word to all ships," Chen ordered. "This is a rescue mission first and foremost. We go in fast, we evaluate the situation, and we protect the civilians. If these invaders want to fight, we'll show them why picking on peaceful species is a bad idea." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, preparing for what could be the most significant first contact in human history. Chen knew the risks. They were about to engage an unknown enemy of unknown strength for the sake of a species they'd never met. But that's what humanity did now. They'd learned from their own violent history. and they'd sworn to be better. As the fleet accelerated toward the Lissari system, Shen received the first visual feeds of the invasion. The attacking ships were unlike anything in human records. Their hulls seemed to absorb light itself, making them appear as moving voids against the stars. But more disturbing were the energy readings. These weren't just warships. They were planet killers. "Message to all ships," Chen announced, her voice carrying the weight of command. "We are about to engage an enemy that threatens the existence of an entire species. Remember your training. Remember why we're here. And remember this. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity stands for." The Hyperion's engines roared as they pushed the massive ship to its limits. In the darkness of space, humanity's fleet rushed toward their first major extraterrestrial conflict since achieving faster-than-light travel. They didn't know what awaited them in the Lissari system, but they knew one thing. They wouldn't let another peaceful species face extinction. Not while they could still fight. The human fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Lissari system, their sensors immediately overwhelmed by the chaos before them. The Lissari homeworld, a gleaming blue-green jewel among the stars, was surrounded by a web of dark ships that seemed to drink in the light of the system's sun. Admiral Chen's first thought was that the tactical displays had malfunctioned. The scale of the invasion force was beyond anything humanity had encountered. The void ships, as her crew had begun calling them, were arranged in a complex geometric pattern around the planet, their formation suggesting not just military precision, but an almost mathematical perfection. Multiple energy signatures detected, Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across his console. The void ships are generating some kind of field around the planet. It's unlike anything in our database. Chen studied the readings herself. The invaders weren't just attacking the Lissari. They were containing them. "Get me visual contact with any Lissari ships still operational." Moments later, a flickering hologram appeared on the bridge. The alien that materialized was roughly humanoid, but its translucent skin revealed delicate patterns of bioluminescence pulsing beneath. Its large, compound eyes reflected a deep intelligence and absolute terror. "I am first speaker Vala of the Lissari Consensus," the alien said, its words processed through the translation matrix. You actually came. We didn't think anyone would respond." "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Rapid Response Fleet," Chen replied. "We received your distress call. Can you tell us what we're dealing with?" The Lissari's bioluminescent patterns flickered rapidly. "They call themselves the Void Collective. They appeared without warning 3 days ago. Vala's voice broke. "They're not here to conquer us. They're here to harvest us." Chen's blood ran cold. Harvest. "The Void Collective seeks what they call evolutionary potential," Vala explained. "They believe that by consuming advanced species at the peak of their development, they can accelerate their own evolution. They'd done this before, to others. We've found evidence of entire civilizations simply vanishing." The bridge crew exchanged shocked glances. Humanity had theorized about the existence of predatory civilizations, but this was something else entirely. This wasn't about resources or territory. It was about survival through the systematic destruction of other species. "First speaker," Chen said, her voice firm, "I need to know everything you can tell us about their capabilities. We're here to help, but we need to know what we're up against." As Vala began transmitting tactical data, the void ships shifted their formation. They seemed to ripple, as if responding to the human fleet's presence. Chen watched as new energy signatures began to appear. "They're powering up their primary weapons," Rodriguez warned. "Whatever that field is around the planet, it's getting stronger." Chen quickly assessed their options. The human fleet was outnumbered at least 4-1. And the void ship's technology was clearly more advanced. But humanity hadn't survived its own bloody history by backing down from impossible odds. "First speaker," Chen said, "I need you to gather any remaining Lissari ships and fall back to our position. We're going to try something that might buy us some time." "Admiral," Vala replied, You don't understand. The field they're generating, it's not just containing us. It's changing us. Our people are transforming. We can feel it. Whatever the Void Collective is, they don't just destroy civilizations. They remake them into something else. The implications hit Chen like a physical blow. This wasn't just an invasion. It was enforced evolution, a cosmic horror that threatened the very nature of what it meant to be a species. She thought of Earth, of humanity's own struggle to reach the stars. How many other civilizations had the Void Collective already consumed? All ships, Battle Formation Delta, Chen ordered. Prepare to deploy quantum disruptors. If they want to play with evolution, let's show them why humanity evolved to be the apex predator of Earth. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, their ships forming a protective screen between the Void ships and the remaining Lissari vessels. Chen knew they were about to attempt something never before tried in combat, using their quantum communication technology as a weapon against the Void Collective's containment field. First speaker, Chen said, I need your people to be ready. When we breach their field, you'll have minutes at most to evacuate as many of your people as possible. We'll hold them off. Vala's bioluminescence pulsed with what Chen hoped was understanding. Admiral, why? Why would your species risk so much for us? Chen thought about Earth's history, about all the times humanity had stood by while atrocities were committed. Not this time. Not ever again. Because that's what humanity does now, she replied. We protect those who can't protect themselves, and we're about to show the Void Collective exactly what they're trying to harvest. As the Void ships began to move toward them, Chen gave the order that would begin humanity's first major interstellar war. They hadn't come looking for a fight, but they'd found one. And the galaxy was about to learn why humans had survived every catastrophe their homeworld had thrown at them. The price of peace was about to be paid in full. The Void ships moved like liquid darkness, their formation shifting to engulf the human fleet. Admiral Chen watched as the enemy vessels executed maneuvers that should have been impossible for their size. The Void Collective wasn't just technologically advanced. They were operating on principles that seemed to defy physics itself. Quantum disruptors at full charge, Rodriguez reported. But Admiral, we're detecting anomalies in the targeting systems. It's as if the Void ships aren't fully present in our space-time. Chen had expected something like this. The Void Collective hadn't survived this long by being predictable. Switch to manual targeting. Tell all ships to execute Protocol Omega-7. Omega-7 was a contingency plan developed after humanity's first encounters with alien technology. It was based on a simple principle. When facing a technologically superior enemy, change the rules of engagement. The human fleet began to move in seemingly random patterns, their engines pushing to maximum burn in ways that made no tactical sense. The Void ships hesitated, their perfect formation showing its first signs of uncertainty. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The collective might be advanced, but they thought like machines. They expected logical responses, predictable patterns. They're trying to analyze our movement patterns, Lieutenant Park announced. Their targeting systems are adjusting, but they can't predict where we'll be next. Chen nodded. Because there is no pattern. Launch the quantum mines. Let's see how they handle chaos theory in practice. The human fleet released thousands of tiny devices, each one containing a miniature quantum field generator. To the Void Collective sensors, each mine would appear as a potential threat, a quantum anomaly that required processing and analysis. It was information warfare at its finest. First speaker, Chen called out to the Lissari leader, who was coordinating the evacuation of their remaining ships. How much longer do you need? We've managed to load 30% of the surface population into orbital platforms. Vala responded, their bioluminescence pulsing rapidly. But Admiral, we're detecting changes in those already affected by the collective's field. They're becoming something else. Chen gripped her command rail tighter. They were running out of time. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Target their field generators with everything we've got. The human fleet's response was immediate and devastating. While the void ships struggled to process the quantum minefield, humanity's warships struck from multiple vectors. The Hyperion's main guns fired first, their energy beams distorted by the quantum disruption field in ways that made them almost impossible to track. Direct hits on 3 of their field generators, Rodriguez called out. But their hull material, it's absorbing most of the energy. Chen had expected this too. Switch to kinetic rounds. Sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones. The human fleet's rail guns opened up, launching hypervelocity projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The void ship's energy-absorbing hulls meant nothing against pure kinetic force. The first impacts sent shockwaves through their formation. For the first time, the Void Collective seemed to realize they were facing something they couldn't simply analyze and adapt to. Their perfect formation began to break apart as they tried to respond to threats coming from multiple directions, each one behaving in ways their predictive systems couldn't process. "Admiral," Vala's voice was urgent. "The field, it's weakening. But we're detecting new energy signatures from the void ships. They're changing their configuration." The massive void ships began to transform, their surfaces flowing like liquid metal. What had been sleek, geometric shapes became organic, almost predatory forms. The collective was adapting, but not in the way Chen had expected. They're not just ships, Chen realized aloud. The entire collective is one organism, learning and evolving in real time. Everything they've harvested from other species, they're using it all. The transformed void ships launched their counterattack. Instead of conventional weapons, they released swarms of smaller entities that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. Each one moved with organic unpredictability, matching humanity's chaos with their own. Multiple hits across the fleet, Rodriguez reported. "Whatever those things are, they're getting through our point defense systems." Chen watched as the battle evolved into something unprecedented. A clash between human unpredictability and alien adaptation. The void ships had superior technology, but humanity had something they couldn't replicate. The ability to act against their own best interests, to make choices that no logical system would predict. "All ships, switch to emergency protocols," Chen ordered. "Disengage safeties on the fusion cores. Let's show them what happens when humans decide winning is more important than surviving." The human fleet's engines began to pulse with dangerous energy as they pushed beyond their safety limits. Every captain knew what this meant. They were literally riding controlled nuclear explosions, using their ship's own power plants as weapons. The void ships paused again, their swarm attacks faltering as they processed this new development. In all their harvesting of species across the galaxy, they had never encountered one willing to risk their own destruction so readily. "First speaker," Chen called out. "What's your evacuation status?" 50% complete, Vala responded. "But Admiral, what you're doing? The energy readings from your ships." "Don't worry about us," Chen replied. "This is what humans do best. We survive, no matter the cost. Now get your people out of here. We're about to show the Void Collective why harvesting humanity would be their biggest mistake." The battle was far from over, but humanity had achieved something unprecedented. They had forced the Void Collective to question their assumptions. In doing so, they had revealed something crucial about their enemy. For all their advanced technology and evolutionary advantages, the collective had never faced a species that embraced chaos as a tactical doctrine. The real question was whether humanity's willingness to risk everything would be enough to save the Lissari, and what price they would ultimately pay for their defiance of the cosmic order. The battle had reached a stalemate. The human fleet's desperate tactics had forced the Void Collective to pull back, their transformed ships holding position just beyond the quantum minefield. But Admiral Chen knew this wasn't victory. It was merely a pause in the conflict, and time was still against them. "Admiral," Rodriguez called out, his voice tense. "We're detecting unusual energy readings from the Lissari who were exposed to the collective's field. Their biological signatures are changing." Before Chen could respond, First Speaker Vala's hologram flickered to life on the bridge. The Lissari leader's appearance had altered. Their bioluminescent patterns now moved with geometric precision, and their translucent skin seemed to ripple with dark energy. Admiral Chen, Vala's voice had changed too, carrying harmonics that made the bridge crew wince. We need to show you something. Something that explains everything. Chen studied the transformed Lissari leader carefully. What's happening to your people, First Speaker? We are beginning to understand, Vala replied. The Void Collective. They are not what we thought. What anyone thought. They are not destroyers. They are preservers. The bridge fell silent as Vala's form continued to shift, becoming something between Lissari and Void Ship. We have accessed their collective memory. They are the last survivors of the first universe. The first universe. Chen's mind raced with the implications. This universe is not the first, Vala explained, their voice resonating with ancient knowledge. It is merely the current iteration. The Void Collective are those who survived the collapse of the previous universe. They discovered that by absorbing the evolutionary potential of advanced species, they could preserve those species' essence through the next cosmic collapse. Vishin's tactical display suddenly filled with new data, information flowing directly from the transformed Lissari. It showed countless cycles of universal death and rebirth, and a pattern of species preservation that spanned beyond comprehension. So they're not destroying civilizations, Chen said slowly. They're backing them up. Yes, Vala confirmed. But not all species can survive the process. Those with the strongest survival instincts, the most adaptable, they become part of the collective, their knowledge and essence preserved for eternity. Lieutenant Rodriguez spoke up, his voice shaking. Admiral, we're detecting changes in the Void Ship's energy signatures. They're trying to communicate. The Void Ships began to shift again, but this time they formed a massive geometric pattern in space. Energy pulses rippled between them, and suddenly the Hyperion's quantum communications array came alive with data. Images flooded the bridge displays. The history of the Void Collective, their desperate mission to preserve life through the death and rebirth of universes. Chen saw countless civilizations faced with the same choice now facing the Lissari. Resist and potentially be lost forever, or join the collective and survive in a transformed state. Your species interests us greatly, Admiral Chen, Vala said, their form now almost completely transformed. Humanity's adaptability, your capacity for chaos, your willingness to sacrifice everything for others. These are traits that could strengthen the collective. Help us preserve life itself. Chen felt the weight of history pressing down on her. This wasn't just about saving the Lissari anymore. It was about the survival of all life through the death of the universe itself. But the price? And if we refuse? Chen asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Then you will face the same choice all species face, Vala replied. Fight us and risk total extinction, or join us and survive in a new form. The universe is dying, Admiral. Slower than the last one, but dying nonetheless. We offer the only path to true survival. The bridge crew looked to Chen, waiting for her response. This was no longer a simple rescue mission. They were facing a choice that would affect not just humanity, but all life in the universe. Chen thought of Earth, of humanity's long struggle to reach the stars. They had evolved through countless catastrophes, adapted to every challenge. But this was evolution on a cosmic scale. First Speaker, Chen said carefully, you said not all species can survive the process. What happens to those who fail? Vala's transformed features shifted in what might have been sadness. They become part of the void. Their potential is preserved, but their consciousness, their individuality, it fades. Only the strongest survive as themselves. The tactical displays showed the Void Ships moving again, their pattern expanding. They weren't attacking. They were offering a choice. Join them willingly and have a chance to survive as themselves, or fight and risk becoming nothing more than cosmic data in their vast backup of universal life. Chen opened a channel to Fleet Command. They needed to know what they were really facing. This wasn't just a battle for one species anymore. It was a battle for the future of life itself. And humanity would have to decide whether preserving life was worth losing what made them human in the first place. The void ships waited, their ancient patience a stark contrast to humanity's urgent need for answers. In the space between moments, Chen realized that this might be humanity's greatest test. Not a test of their weapons or tactics, but a test of their very definition of survival. Admiral Chen stood before the holographic representation of Fleet Command, the faces of Earth's military leadership grim as they processed the reality of their situation. The void ships hung in space around them, their patience as infinite as the universe they had survived. "Let me be clear," Fleet Admiral Zhou said, his hologram flickering slightly. "The Void Collective is offering us a chance to survive the death of the universe itself, but only if we agree to be transformed." "Yes, sir," Chen responded. "But there's more. The Lissari, who have already begun the transformation process, have accessed the Collective's memories. They're not just preserving species, they're running an experiment that spans universes." The tactical display showed the data the transformed Lissari had shared, countless cycles of universal death and rebirth, each one slightly different from the last. The Void Collective wasn't just trying to survive. They were trying to perfect the very nature of existence itself. Each time the universe is reborn, Chen explained, the fundamental constants are slightly different. The Collective preserves species that might survive in these different conditions. They're seeding the next universe with life that can adapt. A new hologram appeared. First, Speaker Vala, now almost completely transformed into a being of void-like energy. "Your species fascinates us, humans. You evolved on a death world, survived countless extinction events, and developed a unique approach to survival. You could help us perfect the next iteration of existence." Fleet Command was silent for a long moment. Then Zhou spoke again. "And if we refuse, then you face extinction." Vala replied simply. "Not just as a species, but as a form of life. The universe will die. This is inevitable. We offer the only path to continued existence." Chen watched as the void ships shifted their formation again, creating a pattern that seemed to pierce reality itself. Through the gaps between them, she could see something. Other universes, perhaps, other possibilities. But something wasn't right. Chen had spent her career studying threats to humanity, and something about this offer felt wrong. "First speaker," she said carefully, "you mentioned that the Collective preserves species that might survive in different universal conditions. But humanity evolved to survive change itself. We don't adapt to specific conditions. We adapt to adaptation." Vala's form rippled with what might have been surprise. "Yes, this is why you would be valuable to the Collective." "No," Chen said, suddenly understanding. "This is why you fear us." The bridge crew turned to their admiral as she continued. "You're not preserving species. You're controlling evolution itself. You're trying to create a perfect, unchanging universe. But humanity, we thrive on change. We don't just adapt to survive. We survive to adapt." The void ship's pattern faltered slightly. Chen pressed her advantage. "You didn't come here to preserve us. You came here to contain us. Because in all your cycles of universal death and rebirth, you've never encountered a species that could adapt as quickly as we do. We don't just survive extinction events. We grow stronger from them." Vala's form became less stable, the void-like energy within them swirling chaotically. "You cannot comprehend the scales we work on. The universe will die. All will end." "Maybe," Chen agreed. "But that's not your real concern, is it? You're afraid that if humanity survives into the next universe, we'll adapt faster than you can control. We'll evolve beyond your ability to preserve us." She opened a channel to all ships. "All vessels, execute Protocol Omega Final. Show them what true adaptation looks like." The human fleet's engines flared to life, but not to attack. Instead, they began generating quantum fields that mimicked the Void Collective's own technology. It wasn't perfect. Humanity had only just begun to understand these principles. But it was enough. Impossible, Vala whispered. You cannot have learned our techniques so quickly. That's what humanity does, Chen replied. We learn. We change. We evolve. Not over universal cycles, but in moments of need. And we do it on our own terms. The void ships began to move, their perfect patterns dissolving into chaos as they realized the truth. Humanity wasn't just another species to be preserved. They were an existential threat to the very order the collective had spent eternities trying to create. Admiral, Rodriguez called out, the Lissari who haven't been transformed. Their ships are moving to our position. They're choosing to stand with us. Chen nodded, because they understand now. True survival isn't about preservation. It's about growth, change, evolution. She turned to address both Fleet Command and the Void Collective. We reject your offer, not because we fear death, but because we refuse to stop evolving. The universe may die, but life, real, changing, adapting life, will find a way to continue, not as a preserved specimen, but as something new. The void ships launched their attack, but humanity was ready. They had learned from every exchange, adapted with every moment. The human fleet moved in ways that defied prediction, their weapons incorporating principles they had only just discovered. You cannot hope to survive, Vala warned, their form beginning to dissolve. No, Chen agreed. We can't guarantee survival, but we can guarantee that whatever survives will be free to evolve. That's the real difference between us. You want to preserve life as it is. We want to see what it can become. The battle that followed would be remembered as humanity's greatest stand, not for their own survival, but for the right of all life to face the future on its own terms. The void ship's perfect patterns shattered against human unpredictability, their ancient technology matched by humanity's desperate innovation. In the end, the Void Collective retreated, their carefully ordered existence disrupted by the chaos of true evolution. They left behind a changed galaxy, one where species would face the universe's death, not with preservation in mind, but with the determination to adapt and evolve. As the human fleet regrouped, Chen looked out at the stars. The universe might be dying, but life, real, chaotic, ever-changing life, would face that death on its own terms. And whatever emerged in the next universe would not be a preserved specimen of what had been, but something entirely new. That was humanity's gift to the cosmos. Not survival, but the courage to change.